Hi everyone, my name's Lynton. I'm someone living with a disability, and today I wanted to talk about my experience with all things to do with feet, braces, shoes, all that sort of stuff. When you've got a disability like me, which is a spinal cord injury, and you have lower limb deficits, feet are something that is, you don't really think about it until sort of it becomes a bit of a problem. But when you do have a condition like mine, and you're not able to move your feet or feel your feet as you might ordinarily do, it's really, really difficult to put shoes on. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and it's obviously it makes walking difficult. So yeah, hence the discussion about the braces and stuff like that we'll get into today. But first, Rasholt. That's the name of something that you can get from IKEA. It's a little trolley. The reason I bring that up, this is still, I'm still here to talk about disability, but the reason I bring it up is because in the last video, I talked a lot about using mobility aids to get around the house. And at times I have used either 2 forearm crutches to get around, or I use one and I put one hand up on the wall to walk my way around the house. Obviously, that makes it a bit difficult to carry things around like food or a cup of tea, Yorkshire Gold, the best tea. So what I use is one of those IKEA trolleys, and I'll put a picture up on the screen. And basically what I do is use the one forearm crutch, and my other hand goes on the trolley, and I use that to sort of make my way around the house, but I can put my cuppa or my food or whatever I'm moving in the basket on the trolley and get around that way, which worked out pretty well for me. Onto feet. Not feet, but leg braces and stuff like that. So when you have a condition like mine, which is a spinal cord injury that causes lower limb deficits, and I talked about last week how one of the symptoms that I have is something called foot drop, meaning that your foot hangs a little bit low when you walk, and it's a bit difficult to clear obstacles. It's also really tiring to walk around with that condition. And last week I talked about using walking sticks and stuff like that and forearm crutches to get around. But obviously there are aids that you can use for your feet to help with that condition as well. So the first thing that I ever utilized at the recommendation of an OT or an occupational therapist was a type of brace. And all of these things are basically about giving your foot a bit more clearance so that your resting position when you lift your foot up, your foot is a little bit higher than it ordinarily would be. That means that it's easy to clear obstacles. It's also a lot less tiring because when you do have foot drop, you tend to hitch your step a little bit and step higher than you ordinarily would. So that's something that you tend to do with that condition. The first brace I ever used is this. It's called a Dictus brace, and I'm so sorry, but every time I hear the name, I can't help but think of.
What's funny about Dictus?
And basically what this is it's a cuff. It goes around your ankle, so you sort of roll your pants up, put this around your ankle, and there's these hooks here that look a bit like this. And these hooks basically hook into the eyelets on your shoes. And then you've got this band that's on the cuff. And that band, you stretch that out and it hooks on the hooks on your shoes, and then basically just pulls your foot up. It's pretty comfortable for wearing for long periods of time. It's cheap, it's pretty simple. This is made out of just like a pleather, and it's like Velcro to close it up. The bands do wear out over time, so that's a consumable with this sort of brace. Yeah, pretty good. I used that for a very long time before my condition worsened a bit, and I ended up having to use something else. Eventually, when my disability worsened to the point where the Dictus brace was not really cutting it anymore, is this one here. So it's a little bit difficult to see, sorry. So basically this is in a shoe. That's just a regular shoe, an accessible one, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is a carbon fiber AFO or ankle foot orthoses. And it, is basically a rigid piece of carbon fiber. It's got a foot plate that's in the base of the shoe here. That's why the shoe's on there still. I use this a lot to go to the gym. At the gym, I do a bit of walking training and it helps immeasurably because as you can see with this solid plate here, that's one big solid piece here, your ankle can't move, like your foot can't move, it can't drop. It does have like, I think it's like a little bit spring loaded, so to speak, but that's not really a major feature. The major feature is just the fact that it's a rigid thing. It holds your foot in a 90-degree angle, which is pretty good for walking. Obviously though, because it is a rigid thing, it does sort of impair your ability to like move your ankle a bit when you walk. As you know, when you take a stride, you know, your toes move a little bit further towards your shin with normal walking. That's not really possible with this because it is so rigid. But you know, the trade-off is that it's easy to walk, your foot's not dragging on anything, and it takes a lot less energy. My use case for this mainly is when I go to the gym because I know I'm going to be walking. If I were to do anything else, out of the house where I know I'm going to be walking a lot, I would probably use that as well. When I say a lot, you know, for me that's a few minutes at a time. But I think that's a good piece of gear. From memory, I think around about $600 to $800 Australia. I'll pop the brand up on the screen. I don't recall what brand it is, but there's a lot of different types that you can get. Generally speaking, you'll want to see a orthotist. I think that's the word. Orthosist. I'll put it on the screen. You want to see someone to get that fitted because it does need to be fitted for you. It's important that it's a good fit, otherwise you're going to get, rubbing and stuff like that, which is not good. It's a good one. Okay, now this one, controversial, and I feel bad even bringing it up. And the reason for that is this is a brace that helps a lot of people. It's really popular. A lot of people that have foot drop use this to really good effect, and it was a real game changer, I believe, when it was developed and released. But basically it's called a Ritchie brace, and this is what it looks like. So it's a bit like the AFO that I showed you previously, but this one does have a bit of motion there, and as you can see, it's at that angle. So what that means is that when you are in the brace, you're at a neutral position like this, like you would normally expect a leg or an ankle to be in, a foot to be in. But when you lift off, it collapses like that to give you that natural positioning of your foot as you're striding, which I mentioned before is impossible with the other AFO that I used. Now, this is really cool, and like I said, it does help a lot of people. My issue with it though is that I found it to be bulky. It's a little bit difficult to fit into clothes and stuff like that. It wasn't as comfortable as other options that I tried. But the main reason for me is that this, I think, was ill-prescribed. It wasn't the good or the best option for me. I saw an OT, they were dead keen for me to try it, and measured me up and everything, and we tried it out for a while. And the problem was there that I think that I was on the cusp of being someone who walking was really, really hard. Like, it was starting to become very difficult for me. I was using a crutch and I was using a foot brace of some sort to get around with. At that point, I think it was the Dictus brace. Dictus. And so for me, I think walking was starting to be something that was a little bit too problematic for me to rely on as my main means of getting around. And this brace, while it's an amazing piece of kit, and for someone who is otherwise able-bodied, has foot drop, that's sometimes a common symptom for stroke victims and stuff like that. They might have foot drop and nothing else. But for me, I've got a lot of other lower limb deficits, so it didn't really help me because of that. If you've just got foot drop, it's probably great, but for me, not quite the best fit based around yeah, my disability, but also preferences and things like that. I also played around with a bunch of different, or a few different types of shoes, because when you have a disability like mine and your foot is a bit slack and you can't control it, you can't feel everything that it's doing, it's pretty difficult to put shoes on, especially if they're like a bit tighter. So yeah, I did sort of explore a few different options there. One of the first ones that I tried was this. This is a brand of shoe called Kizik. That's K-I-Z-I-K. I think it's an American company, but these are pretty cool. They're pretty much just like a normal shoe. They have, you know, the way that you would use it basically is just to have it a little bit looser here so that you can put your foot in it. But the beautiful thing about this is that you can see here how the back of the shoe just sort of like pops down like that and pops back, like that's by design. So basically what that means is if you slip your foot in and you're standing, you can just push your heel down and this will snap down, your heel goes in, your foot goes in, and then it snaps back up and you're good to go. So for me, this isn't the best fit because for me, you know, I'm not usually standing when I put shoes on. I'm usually seated, so that didn't help heaps, but it definitely helped me a bit. The best use case for these is someone who maybe has some mobility issues and it's a bit tough to bend down and put shoes on and stuff like that. With these, if you can walk into them, put your foot in, and then just sort of stand on the heel like that and your heel snaps into place, pretty cool. For me though, still really good and a lot easier to put on than normal shoes, but I think some other options worked a bit better for me. This shoe here is by Nike. Looks like it's from the future. Basically how this works is it snaps open like this, and you can see there, that's the way into the shoe there. Again, if you put your foot in like that and you stand on it, it'll just close up like that, and with your weight on there, yeah, closes like that. Pretty cool. But again, for me, because I'm not really standing to put shoes on, not a super big help, but it definitely was easier to put on than probably any other shoe actually, because look at that, so good. If you know, can't control your feet, or you know, you can't feel your feet, getting them in there, super easy, really, really cool. I remember when these came out, they were really difficult to get, and it was because like they all got bought out by like resellers who then flogged them online for elevated prices. Scumbags. But yeah, I think they're pretty easy to get now. But yeah, they're pretty cool. The last shoe that is sort of my daily driver now, if I'm going to the gym and things like that, is another type of Nike FlyEase. Looks like this. And basically it's a normal sneaker. I think that, yeah, the laces are a bit elastic just to give you a bit of leeway and give when you're putting your foot into it. But the really cool thing about these ones is that, first of all, it looks like a normal shoe. The other FlyEase one, you know, it looks a bit like something Marty McFly would wear or something like that, which is cool, but just not my vibe. So yeah, this one, it's a normal shoe, but as you can see, there's a zip and that opens up the back like that. So you can get your foot in there, just sock in there. So that, yeah, you can slide your foot in like that, push your heel down, and then basically you just sort of like zip that up around your heel. Probably didn't see that very well. So yeah, you zip that up around your heel, and then there's some Velcro here, and you just close it there like that. And yeah, you're in the shoe. Pretty cool. I really like these ones. These ones I've barely worn because the main pair that I'm wearing is the one that's got my brace in it. Same sort of thing. This one's a bit more worn out. But that's actually something that I didn't really realize until recently, because I've been using the chair a lot more. I decided to get some shoes that look a bit nicer, and I bought myself a pair of like dress boots because, you know, I wanted some nice shoes, but also boots, you know, you can unstring them, unlace them a lot and put them on. And it wasn't until, because I've been using the wheelchair for a couple of years now, so there's a lot of like stuff that comes up that's still kind of new, and some realizations that I have. And one of the realizations that I had was that when I bought these boots, I was like, oh man, they're pretty expensive, you know? But then I was like, they're never going to wear out. Like, I'm never going to put enough steps into these that you know, I need to replace them or anything like that. So boots for life, pretty good. I think that's pretty much it for today. Next time we will have a look at my wheelchair, maybe we'll do some wheelchair stuff, or it could be car stuff. We'll see. Got to plan the best way to film the car stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, either one of those things. Something with wheels, I promise. But yeah, if you've got any questions, comments, feedback or anything like that, feel free to drop it below. I've done my best to miss the reflections, and I'm sorry if I didn't quite get that right. But yeah, as I said, still working out some kinks here. But yeah, feels kind of weird being on YouTube, sharing all this stuff and talking about it. But I don't know. Hopefully it helps someone. Hopefully it's interesting to someone. But yeah, see you in the next one.